The Secretariat of the Nigeria's Governors Forum has declined comment on the present issue, where the federal government has dragged the governors of the 36 states of the Federation to the Supreme Court over alleged misconduct in the administration of local government areas. When contacted to speak on the matter, the Director General of Nigerian Governors Forum, Dr. Abdulateef Shitu, who noted that the Secretariat read the report, said that since the issue was already in court, the Supreme Court in particular, it would amount to sub judice to speak on it. Now, they have refused to say anything. But let me start with you, Don. What do you have?
He's Don.
Sorry, Mr. Zoe, yes. What do you have to say about these developments?
Well, there's not much to say. Of course, they have said because the matter is before the courts, they will not have much to say. So I don't think even we here should have much to say.
But the call, isn't it long overdue? Aside the court matter going on, the abuse of power by the state government
is there.
Over local government
Is there.
Can you take it away?
No, you can't take it away. And that is why they can't, it's even partly why they can't say something. They can't defend it. The NGF can't defend this accusation. That is one thing. Let's see how it goes out in court. Of course, if they can't speak in the public, they will speak in court. They can't defend it. It's glaring. It's on. Okay, our lawyer here will tell us better, but I think it's something you cannot run away from.
He might not necessarily comment on the courts, the matter in court, but I want to look at an angle of this conversation, and that is withholding of local government funds by state governors. You would recall that recently there have been calls from different local government council chairmen in Rivers State particularly, and they have accused the governor of withholding the funds of local government. Isn't this part of the reason why this issue actually should be taken up and discussed, and probably the court should look into this and grant local governments autonomy that they urgently need?
We are yet to come to that. You see, one good thing this government have done, the federal government, and I give kudos to the president, is appointing the Attorney General. I know him as a man of good conscience. He's a man, that has the burning desire for the protection of human rights, fundamental human rights, and justice. Well, within the time he came in, I have not seen too much political deviations that he has made. Fagbemi also bear the kind of mind we have, that the society should follow law. The rule of law should prevail. The man have looked at the entire process and have discovered that over time, the problem we have is the state governors controlling the local governments. In Rivers State, we always use Rivers State as a case study. Those that are simplified, which I don't know whether it's a political party or not, have been clamoring. When the FCT minister was here, well, we are talking about the same thing. Now the federal government sees that the way out of this imbroglio, of this pandemic, political pandemic that we are having, is to cut the hands of the state government from the administration of the local government, so as to make it even more competitive. You understand? Now, I may be more qualified than somebody who wants to become chairman of local government in terms of my integrity or whatever I have achieved as a person. But if I am not in the good books of the state governor, no matter how you good, no matter how beautiful you are, you cannot make it. So now you are talking about withholding of funds. Section 162, subsection 1 down to section 5 is against the governor of any state of this federation to withhold local government funds. And of course, you would have seen a slight of this in the case of AG Federation against AG Lagos State in 2002, where Tinubu went to court to say, see, because we felt that the the state was becoming too populated. And then we created some LCDs, like about 8 LCDs, so that to manage the administration of some persons in different areas of Lagos State. The federal government said, Obasanjo said, we're not going to pay you because we cannot cater for the entire wage bill that is coming from the state as at that time. And the man said, we are not saying pay. Just allow us, give us our resources, we'll manage it with our local IGR. When they went to court, the Supreme Court frowned at any tier of government, holding the funds that belong to another tier of government. This constitution does not permit so. And therefore, the only way to give independence and financial autonomy to this government is by, part of it is election. The National Electoral Body conducting the election of the state, and also the Minister of Justice, the finance minister. Because what will happen now...
Indirectly to the local government.
Directly, what will happen now is that if the case that has already gone to... that is going to go to court, okay, anytime, I think before the week is over, I think the Supreme Court will be seized of this matter. When this matter is eventually heard and determined, and I am of the very firm belief that the Supreme Court will grant, because it's by originating someone, it doesn't give the parties too much opportunity to argue. It's based on law. You know, the Supreme Court to interpret the essence, the intent of the provisions of Section 162 and Section 7 of this Constitution. Whether the state government have that autonomy or power to control the local government. If the Supreme Court, in their wisdom, very wise wisdom, legal wise wisdom, sees that it has caused a lot of, failure of governance at that level. The Supreme Court, I am sure that the Supreme Court will grant that the prayers of the Attorney General, and then once that is done, it is to take the order of the court, serve it on the Ministry of Finance, so that the needful can be done every month, so that we avoid this different splinter group coming up with different ideologies.
All right.
See, what's the point there is, now look, if he's citing the various, he cited Section 162. He didn't talk about Section 7. Now, if you look at the various sections of the Constitution that dealt with local governments, there are a lot of confusion there. Now, the framers of the framers of the Constitution did not intend this confusion. What they had in mind is check and balances, okay? So that the federal government, as much powers were given to the the state government to supervise, to oversee the activities of the local government, it also keep a watching eye by the federal government on the state government. But at the end of the day, we go back to the operational personalities of these laws. That is
what does Section 7 say of
it talks about the local government being established, having its powers, but then it went at some point it talks about the state government being, the State House of Assembly being in charge. Then when you go to section the 162, it talks about
in charge of the local government.
Yes, there are. Yes, if you can cite it so that we get it clear. It talks about different people: the federal government, the state government, the State House of Assembly, all of them having
in charge of the local government, or the local government chairman in charge of the local government. Are you talking about the State House of Assembly
legislating? Yes, in terms of legislation. Okay. Yes, that's the point I'm making. Now, if you see all these things, powers, the functionality of the local government is now left both the federal and the state. And that's where the confusion is coming here. So if we are talking about that, is it to go to court? Is a legislative matter, in my own opinion. Okay. So at this point, as the National Assembly legislates a law to say that you're removing local government totally from the state.
That has been done before.
Okay. Now, if that is done, there is a clause.
Let me clarify something. Prior to this time, prior to 2024, the National Assembly has also done a lot to that effect, to the effect of having local governments have their autonomy. But then it has to be ratified by the State House of Assembly.
That's a clause I'm talking about.
Now, the first time it was done, they needed about
27.
27
Yes.
and only 26 ratified it. It was just remaining one state. Do you understand?
Yes.
So it's not the first time, and that actually is the second attempt. It's not the first time that this should be the third attempt this time around. And it has not been successful because the state governors have wielded their influence over the House, the State House of Assembly, to do their bidding. This is why it appears that the National Assembly will do their part and they cannot get the ratification that is needed for this law to be passed. So you can go on.
Yes, I agree with you, and that's the point I wanted to raise. So with that clause now, it will be a difficult thing for the federal government, and probably that's why they've gone to court. But the question now, is it a matter for the court to interpret? Because the law is clear there. If you borrow the word self-executing, that clause of ratification is there. Okay? But now the point I am emphasizing is not the laws as they are being made in terms of supervision of the local government, in terms of the problem is the people. Our people have not imbibed democratic governance to the extent that they follow the rule of law. So even if we remove local government today from the hands of the state legislature and the governor, it is still human beings, Nigerians, that will man those local government. Won't the local government chairman behave like the way the governor is behaving in the state and the local government? Those are the questions we should ask. And those are the areas the federal government should be able to address. And that can be done by the federal government showing example in its own pattern of governance by following the rule of law. Okay. We can cite some instances here where the court will give orders. For instance, the release of somebody in court, the federal government will disobey that order. They will not go. So these are things. It all goes down to the human being, Nigerians. So the earlier we begin to change our mentality, the earlier we begin to change our culture of governance from personal interest to the rule of law. That is the first step forward with which we can get. If not, nothing is wrong with the constitution. There's nothing wrong if the federal government to some extent have some supervisory role over the state governors as they supervise the local government, so that there is a link. Do you understand?
If the federal decides to withhold funds of the state,
it's not good. Just as the state shouldn't withhold funds meant for the local government. Right. So those are the things that has to do with the personalities that are manning those offices. That's my position.
All right, Honorable Don, you wanted to say something quickly.
What is wrong is wrong. Okay.
So to add to it that the law cannot be enough until there are willing people to implement the law as it has been written.
You see, the issue is this. You know, sometimes as a lawyer, I can also agree that the provisions of the law is also part of the challenge we have. Okay? Because if the governor does not know that he is in charge of the local government, the governor will also exercise those arbitrary powers.
That's true.
You know,
that's a very good one.
So now that we have discovered that the governor is exercising those powers, it is important that we cut and curtail those powers so that the governor will not exercise those arbitrary powers that have been given rise to these challenges. That is the point.
All right.